So this is basically like the NFL draft for nerdy homeschool moms, right? It is curriculum picks. Hi, I am Rachel from 7 and All, and in this video I'm going to be sharing my first grade curriculum choices. I'm excited to show all the great curriculum that I have picked out. It's all scattered over my whole table right now. But I do want to mention I'm going to film this video with curriculum choices, and then I'm going to be filming a separate video that kind of talks through the brainstorm, the thought process, and the considerations that led me to these curriculum choices. That will be a longer video that is for all of you who like to hear all of that background, who find it helpful to hear the thought journey that led me to these curriculum picks. So make sure you are subscribed if you want to be notified when that video releases. It should be about a week after this one. I'm going to just jump right in. I'm going to go subject by subject to show you the different curriculums and resources I have chosen for different subject areas. Please do remember that as we homeschool, we are homeschooling a child. We are teaching a child. We are not teaching a grade level. So you are going to see some different numbers on the front covers of the books. I've chosen these to teach my child. I have not chosen these to teach what should ideally be taught in the perfect first grade level. We teach the child. All of us do. We're teaching the individual, unique child in front of us, and our curriculum choices will represent that. With no further ado, I will present my math curriculum choices. If you've watched my channel for very long, it should not surprise you that we will be continuing with Math with Confidence. This is the second grade level. We have our gigantic teacher's guide, as well as our student notebook, which is nice and colorful, games and lots of great things to do in this to go alongside Math with Confidence and level up the challenge a little bit for my tiny math lover. We're going to be adding in something completely new to me, which is Beast Academy, and I picked level 2. We have the 4 guidebooks, and there are 4 practice books as well to give an application opportunity once we've read the information in the guidebooks. One further resource for math is the Life of Fred series. I will say I haven't done any of the Life of Fred series with him myself. My mom does this in her grandma school time, which is not something that happens every day, but they do pretty regularly have some sit-down grandma school sessions, which is really nice. I love that she can be involved in their day-to-day education in her own unique way, because she has a different approach than I do. And this is something that they do together. So I picked up Dogs and Edgewood for his first grade year. Life of Fred, if you're not familiar with it, is a read aloud math, and they move alphabetically, so A, B, C. So we have D and E because he's currently doing C, which is cats. So I think we can get through those two pretty easily during the next school year. Now for science. We have some picks that I'm very excited about. We'll be doing Sunlight, Level A, Science, Light and Sound Waves, Biological Features, Space Systems, and Engineering Design. So we have a compilation of different topics that we'll be going through throughout the year. You can tell this is still in the plastic. I have not even opened it up. But we used Sunlight K this year, so we're just moving on. We love Sunlight K. I find it a very good fit for us. However, my son also really likes science, and I found that this year we were doing Sunlight K about 3 times a week. I got the 5-day schedule, but the amount of science scheduled for each day was so short, we were typically getting a week's done in just 3 days a week. So this year I decided, let's add in a little more, because my boy just loves to listen to science books, loves to just soak in this information. So we're also going to be adding in Apologia Astronomy. I have the notebooking journal here because my sister is currently reading through the textbook. But if you're unfamiliar with the Apologia series, there is a textbook and a notebooking journal that goes with it. And I will go ahead and link to this down below. I believe I also have a flip-through video. I will link to that as well. And if you want to see any of these curriculums in further depth, just let me know. Some of them I already have flip-through videos for. Others I can probably make a new flip-through video if I don't have one already. So please feel free to ask any questions or ask for further videos. Next, one of the curriculum picks I am personally most excited about, and I will link to it down below, is Sequence 1 from Gentle and Classical. I've been collecting books for this and preparing for this for quite a while, so I'm excited to finally be at the stage where we'll be jumping in. This, as far as subjects that it will cover, this will be our Bible and Catechism, faith studies, as well as our history and our geography primarily. And there are other subjects incorporated as well, which I'll be talking about in just a minute, but let's go through those 3 areas first. So you can find, and I'm linking to it down below, but you can find the teacher's guide as a free download on the Gentle and Classical website, and it has the unit plans for you there. But for Bible, we're going to be using a nice hefty Bible storybook, as well as theology, and doing some scripture memory as well, incorporated into that. For geography, the big focus for the year will be learning the 50 states and capitals. So Gentle and Classical in their student notebook, and I printed these myself. If you get it print from their shop, they will be a little bit prettier. But they have a student notebook where you have basically a 2-page spread for each of the 50 states. You get to go through and write in information that you're learning, find the capital, you can draw things that you associate with it. So together with this, I'm going to be using these 50 state flashcards, which I'm biased, but I had my sister paint them and I think they are absolutely gorgeous. So on each flashcard, there are 2 of the official state symbols. This is my home sweet home. So we've got our apple blossoms and our American robin for Michigan. Here's Louisiana, West Virginia. So there's a couple of state symbols, mostly from nature, and then painted into the shape of a map. I was the crazy one who had this idea and gave her the assignment of painting 50 paintings for me. So you can find these on my website. I believe they're priced at just $5.99 for the download. And I think these will be a really fun and beautiful addition to our 50 state study. Then for information, we will be getting most of the information about the 50 states from this big book right here. They have little page spreads about each state. So we've got Florida here. Lots to learn about Florida. This won't be going into deep depth on any one state because we're just trying to get the broad overview of the states right now. And then as far as the history scheduled in Sequence 1, you're kind of traveling through time periods from around the age of the explorers like Magellan and Columbus up until around the War of 1812. The history does have a pretty strong focus on early American history from before the U.S. was a nation up until their early years as a nation, but it's not solely U.S. history. So you are going through some different parts of history, and you get to read a lot of great picture books throughout. So we have The Barber Who Wanted to Pray. So this is related to Martin Luther. You get to learn some about the Reformation. You do get some European history mixed in. And here we have Sacagawea from Louisiana Purchase, Lewis and Clark's big adventure. You also get some folk tales woven in, and I'm going to be using the 6 folk tales that they schedule. I also have a couple of extra folktale books. This one is The People Could Fly, American Black Folk Tales, and The Girl Who Helped Thunder, and Other Native American Folk Tales. So these are both compilations of a number of folk tales. I'm not sure that all of them are really going to be first grade appropriate, so I'm definitely going to pick and choose which ones I'm including in this particular year. But I'm going to also include reading a handful of these folk tales from a variety of perspectives from early North America. And you'll see in a few minutes, we're also going to be including some Latin American and Spanish folk tales as well. Worst of Friends is about Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, another book that's scheduled from Sequence 1, as well as this one, A Spy Called James, a Revolutionary War double agent. We have Katie's Trunk, which I believe is also connected to a Revolutionary War story. I think this is more from the Tory perspective. We have Molly Bannaky, Jamestown, New World Adventure, Hiawatha and the Peacemaker. Runaway, The Daring Escape of Ona Judge. I believe this was also a Heritage Mom recommendation. That is seriously just a fraction of the awesome books that we will be reading with the Sequence 1 history and diving into great literature about these historical time periods, historical events, and people. And I do love books, so yes, I'm very excited. Now, the Sequence 1 plan or program gives you the opportunity to integrate other resources also published by Gentle and Classical, which I can also link to these. The first of the resources integrated are issues from Morning Virtues, and the guide suggests that you go through 6 different issues of Morning Virtues. So I just chose which ones looked interesting to me, purchased 6 of these. Now, what Morning Virtues covers is kind of your beauty subjects as well as some Bible. Because of the age of my kids, we are going to be using the Storybook Bible from Sequence 1 rather than the Bible reading schedule in Morning Virtues. But this will be the resource that helps us dive into artists. Like I believe this one is Carl Larson. Yes, Carl Larson, as well as our composers that we study, Robert Schumann. And it gives handicraft ideas. There's also a morning menu included, which has a sonnet and a poem to read, a hymn, as well as a folk song to learn. And you're working on one set of memory work, one artist, one composer, one morning virtue topic for roughly 6 weeks if you're doing 6 units of Sequence 1 in a 6-week time period. So you do get a good chunk of time to work on the same memory work, the same hymns, and learning about the same artist and composer. It can be nice and just gradually woven into your weeks. Another Gentle and Classical resource we are incorporating is for World Geography. And they recommend using their On Mission magazines and just scheduling in 3 for a year. So that's my plan. I'm following their suggested plan. So we're going to be doing Greece and Ethiopia as well as Vietnam. I basically tried to choose one country from each different continent, and I didn't include any from Latin or South America because you'll see we'll have our own curriculum that kind of tackles some of that geography on its own. So you're scheduled to spend 12 weeks covering one country, reading through the magazine. There are some extra printables online that come as downloads with every issue, so you can have some notebooking pages or flashcards or different activity pages to go along with it as well. Now, let's move on to language arts. We all know that language arts has a couple different streams within it, so yes, I'll be using a couple different resources to cover those. First up, we are going to be using First Language Lessons. I have an older edition, which is a hardcover, and this is roughly scheduled for about 3 lessons a week if you want to finish 100 lessons in one school year. And the same topics that are being covered in First Language Lessons also appear as memory statement cards in the grammar portion of Sequence 1, so that's pretty convenient. For handwriting, we're going to continue with the Dash into Cursive series. My son did the first 2 books in the series this kindergarten year, so we'll be moving into book 3 for 1st grade. I believe I have a 10% off discount code that I will share down in the description below along with my affiliate link, but this has been a really great, very gentle way to introduce cursive for him, cursive handwriting. He was the one who requested to learn cursive. I was going to wait on it, but this will definitely take it up a notch from the first 2 books and give him an opportunity to keep practicing and progressing. For phonics practice, we're going to be continuing with the old classic, Explode the Code. He's currently working on book 2, so I'm expecting that we're going to get through book 3 and book 4 during his 1st grade year. These, you probably might already be familiar with this. This is a classic in homeschooling for a reason. You get one rule or one phonics concept that you're working on within a lesson. You're working on one same group of words, but they just have like 10 different worksheets, 8 different worksheets or so that you are using the same words, but you're working with them in different ways and really getting to know those words and that rule very well. For spelling, we're going to be using Spelling Connections from Zaner Bloser. This is new to me. We've not used it before, but from what I've seen, I really, really like it. And there is spelling incorporated in Sequence 1. I was thinking at first of just using that, but I've noticed that my son actually tends to do pretty well with worksheets. There aren't a ton of worksheets included in my school that I've planned for him, so I did want to give him kind of a worksheet opportunity to work on spelling. Next up, for reading, we are going to be reading through the Sunlight Grade 2 readers, which I've got a whole little stack here. There's some great classics in here like Frog and Toad, Daniel's Duck, Owl at Home, got all the good Arnold Lobel books, The Fire Cat, and Amelia Bedelia. So lots of great reading ahead. I'm thinking for a little bit of an intro before we start straight into the Sunlight second grade readers. I just grabbed a handful of them, but my mom has the very first reading set and then the Usborne first reading set that have yellow and green spines. Sometimes these look slightly different, but these are really cool little first readers that can usually be read in just like one day of reading. They're very, very short. But then at the end, they have little puzzles, and my son loves these puzzles. We've already done a handful of these, and I think we'll be kind of reading through these as a bridge before jumping into the Sunlight readers. Then for Spanish, our second language, we are going to be doing Llamitas, and we're doing level 2, which is aimed roughly at a 1st through 3rd grade level. This is not for brand new beginners, so this is not the curriculum I would recommend if you're just wanting to start Spanish from scratch with your 1st grader. I highly recommend doing that. I very much recommend introducing languages at an early age in these early elementary years, but this curriculum in particular is not designed for the brand new beginner. It's more designed for a child who already does have some foundation with Spanish. My son is not a fluent speaker, he's not dominant in Spanish, but he does have a lot of vocabulary. He is able to understand Spanish pretty well. He's slowly making progress with beginning to read in Spanish, decode words in Spanish, and he does already have a very good baseline of vocabulary, so I am really excited to use this. This is going to help us dive in deeper. This will really challenge him working through the workbook. There's 72 lessons, so my plan is to schedule about 2 lessons a week. This course also includes an anthology of Latin American and Spanish folktales, which this is a bilingual anthology, so there's English on one side and Spanish on the other side, and you're reading through the same folktale repeatedly as scheduled in the lessons and getting to know it, doing some activities based off of the folktale. Other elements of the program include some little early readers, which I've stapled together, and they're tied into the units, topics in the units you're studying. So there's different themed units. The first unit is nocturnal animals. So the 4th element of the program includes some flashcards. So we have cucaracha. Yep, we don't like to see those at night. Murciélago for the bat, luciérnaga. So I have gone ahead and printed, laminated the flashcards and put them on a little ring because the flashcards are one of the digital resources, even if you buy the printed version. And I will go ahead and link to this Llamitas curriculum down below, and I also have a flip-through video of it. In addition, another resource we'll be using for Spanish are these spelling word lists that I created that are a freebie available on my website. They are high frequency, easy to spell words for the Spanish spelling beginner. So we're also going to be doing just 5 words a week, and they're organized by theme or topic. So these are los pronombres. This is later in the year, semana 20, el tiempo, hoy, ayer, mañana, hora, minuto. So getting really, really practical words, but getting practice with spelling these. Adjetivos, frío, feliz, alto, lindo, rico, so that we can have practice with these. And my idea is this will be something pretty independent. I'll put it in his memory statement cards for the week. This can be something he can copy out, but I will probably have some conversations. We'll practice using them in sentences as well, and just really try to get very familiar with these high frequency words. All right, those are my 1st grade curriculum picks. Do make sure you are subscribed so that you can be notified if you want to see the video with all the thought process of how exactly I landed on these curriculum picks and kind of my plans for how we're going to use them, how it's all going to come together. I'll be seeing you later with more nerdy homeschool content. Bye!